ball because you got to have guys that can rush the passer. And when you're ahead, like we intend on being, you got to have guys that can finish the game off in the fourth quarter. And these guys also got position flexibility. I think that you always want to be able to recruit guys that can play more than one spot. And we got a bunch of guys up front that can play inside or outside. And by doing that, it allows you to get the next best player on the field because there's always going to be injuries and situations that happen throughout the season. And when those things happen, my philosophy has always been, let's get the next best player on the field.
Are there any offensive guys that you see kind of coming over to the side?
Not at this time, but you never know till you get guys here. And once we get guys here, we'll certainly evaluate them. And if there's something that we need to do to make us better, we'll certainly do it.
In your 3-4 scheme, I mean, I know you like to put pressure on a quarterback, cause turnovers. You play a lot of man in coverage, a lot of zone. You mix it up.
Well, we're a little bit from the standpoint of it. You have to have man concepts even in your zone. We're a pattern match team, which basically means even though we're zone, we're going to play tight to guys. So that means you got to have some athletic ability to transition, change direction, and do those things. And when you look at all the guys that we signed in the back end, those guys have size to them, or they have speed, they have transition ability, and you really need that this day and age because with quarterbacks being accurate, you want to get as close to them as you can to force them to throw it in the tight windows.
So your outside linebackers, your defensive ends, it can kind of be interchangeable, right?
Yeah, I think when you go back and look at we were able to over the last 3 years get to 2 SEC East title games, and the biggest thing there is we had a lot of injuries and situations come up throughout that guys had to play more than one spot. And I've always been a big believer in you play the next best player. And that's why you recruit guys that have the flexibility to play inside or outside. And all the guys that we got can play more than one position. And by doing that, it gives you the flexibility to mix and match relative to who you're playing. But you always want to have some guys that got some length and burst to them because guys like that are really good at coming off the edge and affecting the quarterback. And this day and age, you got to be able to cover them outside, and you got to be able to play tight man-to-man, and then you got to be able to beat someone one-on-one in a rush. And guys that have length and burst have a really good chance of doing that.
Do you feel like you got the football IQs that you needed to?
Well, to me, that's the part of watching the tape, and whether the guys were coming in on official visits or we had to go there, that's kind of a part of the evaluation process. Is you kind of watch the tape and you kind of get an idea for what you feel like this guy can do from an ability standpoint. And as a coach, you always have a vision. And I felt like we had a pretty good vision of what they could do. But you're always going to ask those questions to them and try to get a feel for them from the football IQ standpoint because you got to be able to put it together on the field. And I was really comfortable with the guys that we signed and felt good about them and feel like they're going to be able to handle the stuff that we do.
Is there anybody that jumped out in terms of the outside linebacker, defensive end?
You know what? I would say I was impressed with all of them, honestly, because I think they all bring a little different dimension, and I think they're all going to be a part of what we're going to accomplish here. And like I said before, when you sign a guy, to me, you're saying now, can this guy help us win an ACC championship? And that's really one of the questions that you look at more so than what their stars are.
Did you feel like this group of guys, the incoming recruits, maybe better than some of the guys you currently have on the team right now?
Well, I've probably spent more time with them because I've seen them really, a couple times. And that's something that I'm certainly looking forward to getting to knowing our players more over, the rest of spring and being around them because we've certainly got a big season coming up. And with the guys that we signed, I feel really comfortable, really good about them. I think there's some guys that are really athletic. There's some guys that can play more than one spot. The biggest thing in recruiting is you never know how a young man's going to take off from a size standpoint. And once he gets into a great strength and conditioning program like we have and starting getting training table and nutrition, some guys just explode. I mean, I've had freshmen gain 30 pounds in one semester, and it can happen, and each guy's a little different. But the biggest thing is recruiting guys that give you position flexibility to let you attack the offense and handle the spread style offense as you see.
Is it